Okay, well, I'm making a little reaction video to Jeff Miller's videos he posted up because he basically is referencing me at the end of this video. So he's talking about the bullet guide and all the problems he's hearing about from his customers. So his very first video in his series of free Galil build help is about the bullet guide. And then, there's some good info in here, but a lot of this is just, it's total BS. And let's just start. For example, he's telling you in this video that you have to grind on the bullet guide to fit the receiver. Well, I can guarantee you, you'll never find a bullet guide in a IMI receiver stub that has been ground on. I guarantee it. And I haven't seen a million of them, but I've seen enough that I've never seen a single one with even a file mark on it. So you listen to his video, and we'll just play it for a second, and I'll just stop it and comment while we're going.
All right. For some reason, I keep getting these rocket surgeons that think that, again, they're putting an AR-15 together and everything should just drop and lock and be perfect. But, in the real world, you're going to have to fit this stuff because these bullet guides are a cast piece. They do.
Let's just stop right there. What he just said is true. In the real world, you're going to have to fit it, but it's not because the bullet guide is the problem. See, he's blaming it on the bullet guide. The problem is with the receiver. Hillbilly firearms receivers, tort receivers. I've had the same problem with Ohio Rapid Fire and CNC Warrior. And I have a suspicion that it's because all of them were built using the same flawed blueprints. I'm not sure about that, but anyway, let's keep playing.
Basically, they make sure this radius here, that's where the rounds feed up and over, obviously, and this flat are specific thickness. What they don't tell you is the thickness on the sides here, on the walls. You need to fit that or grind that to fit the radius in your particular receiver. Now, if you've got...
Now, so this is why I tell people when you're building a Galil, the best thing that you can have is a receiver stub from IMI with the bullet guide removed. If the bullet guide that you removed from that receiver stub isn't fitting in your American-made receiver, then it's probably not the bullet guide. And if you're using a so-called US-made guide, or what he's saying, there's a bunch of subcontractors building these bullet guides, just drop it in your IMI receiver stub and see how it fits. If it fits fine in the receiver stub, you know it's not the bullet guide, it's the US-made receiver.
CNC Warrior or Torque, its CNC machine is probably pretty close. Your problem is this part is not close because these things have been fitted to receivers that were made on manual machines, and the plus minus spec on that was a lot. So,
See, he's blaming everything's wrong except for the CNC built Tort and CNC Warrior receivers. Really simple to double check that BS. Just drop it in the IMI receiver stub.
The guy in Israel put it in the first time it went in, it riveted in, he didn't have a problem with it. He could have cared less, and obviously you can see somebody should have cared a little more and took a little bit of metal off that right there evenly. Not so much there, but it is.
Dude, again, I've never seen a bullet guide out of any IMI receiver that has any fitting done to it. They drop in, they fit perfect. These guys know what they're doing. They don't have some guy with a disc grinder at the end of the line fitting bullet guides. The bullet guide is precision fit. There are specific clearance tolerances, everything. All the BS he makes up is just a cover for the fact that he's built. who knows how many guns that have this problem. This is why he's doing this whole series of free videos, so he doesn't have to explain this over and over to his customers. That's my guess. Prove me wrong.
Rubbing there. But the big disclaimer is the bolt wear. See how that's almost all the way across? That's pretty good, actually. But you get some of these things, let's see here, that have just barely 3/4. And, you know, what the hell was that doing?
Dude, this doesn't even matter. I don't even know what you're talking about. The bolt and where it's hitting the ramp on that, I mean, who cares? If those are IMI marks, that's not an issue.
You know, that's just barely tapping that. So these have to be fitted, and the only way you do that is I use a disc grinder and a set of calipers. Measure this thickness, measure here, and measure there, and try to take as evenly as you can across here without hitting the island. You want to leave that, and evenly all the way around here until this flat is flat in your receiver.
Now that would assume that flat in your receiver's in the right spot. Again, IMI receiver stub. If it fits in the receiver stub, then it's not the bullet guide, it's the receiver.
I mean, this is just my finger holding this, but it's going to show you a gap. If you can see that gap in there, that gap needs to go away. It's almost there, but it needs to go away. Okay? It needs to look like that right there. If you can see, no gap whatsoever. If you got a question after you rivet it, what you want to do is take a feeler gauge, trim it down on either side. I can't find mine right now, but this shows you what a feeler gauge is. And I do a 2/1000, trim it with a pair of cutters, and try to slide that between the bottom of the bullet guide and the trunnion. And as you see, that ain't going anywhere. So that's the whole process there. And I mean, like I said, everybody wants these to drop in. Well, the reason that has that orange paint on it is because not only did this thing need a little fitting in the original receiver. Okay, see the shine up where it was seated? And this receiver, I would have to machine off about 30 thousandths across there lengthwise just to get it to drop in. So these are all over the place. They weren't made by IMI, they were supplied by an outside contractor and probably 2 or 3 different contractors. So who knows, but you've got to make these work. That's part of building a Galil. You're going to be a mechanic, go work on cars and buy your parts off the shelf. You're going to be a fitter or put a Galil together, you're going to have to make it work or sit there and complain about it, whichever one suits you. But, you know, complaining, don't get it done. So that's about all I can tell you on that subject, other than, you know, keep the damn pencil leads away from measuring stuff on these. All right?
That was directly about me, because I used a mechanical pencil to measure or to point out the step on from the barrel support down to the radius of the bullet guide pocket in a receiver. So anyway, this is his very first video on how to fit a Galil IMI bullet guide to a US receiver. But you know, it's full of lies. He's trying to counter the problems that he's getting from people that he's built for, including me. He riveted one bullet guide in a micro receiver for me. The thing was so cockeyed in there and rubbed so bad that the thing wouldn't even function properly. But he goes on to state that the reason you're getting rubbed in another video is because your bolt carrier and your bolt, they're wore out. You need to measure them. Dude, if your bullet guide is fitted like IMI, okay, a little bit of wear in your bolt carrier or your bolt is not going to cause a problem. The problem is because he has put so many guns together incorrectly, okay, that now he's have to do a video to try to, you know, show his customers that, hey, look, you know, the problem's with the bullet guides, okay? Or that's normal. It's normal for your bolt to slam into the bullet guide. No, it's not. And the rails keep the bullet guide and the bolt from hitting. So if you have a little wear in your bolt carrier, the rail will still keep your bolt from hitting that bullet guide. It doesn't rub the bullet guide. So anyway, I thought I'd do a little quick reaction video. I'm going to do a couple of these and post them up.